Out on the branch line, Percy was having trouble with trucks. Faster we go, pull him along, don't let him slow. Help! Cried Percy. His driver applied the brakes, but it was too late. He went off the rails at Bulgy's Bridge. This made Cranky very cranky. So cranky that he swung his arm around. And dropped the pipes onto the tracks instead of the trucks. Whoops, said Cranky meekly. You've blown the main now, matey. After 100 scary days at sea without a scratch, he sailed into port and crashed his bow, not 15 feet from my buffers. Luckily, no one was hurt, except my ears. He was upset. But then, they all heard a strange sound. Watch out for those trees, Harold, cried his pilot. My net is too heavy, wailed Harold. Harold is in trouble, Percy cried. We must try to help him. So Thomas puffed as hard as he could. He pulled so hard, he broke his coupling rods. He wasn't going anywhere. Oh dear, that sometimes roll onto the tracks. Oh, shivered Thomas as he ran over the detonator. It warns you when there's fog ahead, like this. That's loud. The foghorn had been so loud that it made the hillside shake. No sooner was Percy out of sight when one rock fell, then another and another. Before long, the track was blocked and the foghorn was crushed. I can't see a thing, said Thomas. And then before he could even think of anything else... Bust my buffers, cried Thomas. What happened to the foghorn? And when? Fog detonators, puffed Toby. No, shouted Isabella. But it was too late. Oh no, he cried. Oops, Jack spotted. His banksman had told him to lower his crane arm. I must be careful, I must be careful, I must be careful. Then there was trouble. Ned hadn't lowered his crane arm far enough. It knocked loose the important keystones. The bridge started to crumble. Cinders and ashes, cried Thomas. Hold on, Jack, called Kelly, and he rushed to help. Jack couldn't hold the bridge any longer. Are you all right, Jack? I think so, Fat Controller. The fitters, his driver and fireman, all Thomas couldn't see there was a huge rock buried under the snow. Suddenly his snow plough hit the rock. Bouncing buffers, exclaimed Thomas. My plough is broken. His driver tried to stop, but the broken plough hit the water tower. Cinders and ashes, exclaimed Thomas. Stop, he cried. Donald's driver applied the brakes, but it was too late. Luckily, no one was hurt. Storkby was in a bad mood. Duck could see he was getting too close to the buffers. Look out, he shouted, but it was too late. Donald's driver was very cross. This wouldn't have happened if you were working with Douglas, he said. But the troublesome trucks delight in mischief, and their mischief causes trouble, as poor Henry found out. He pulled, and he pulled, and he pulled, and he pulled. Help! Grease and oil. The chains felt like ghost fingers. Something's got me! Suddenly, he saw something. Bouncing buffers! Cried Percy. His driver hadn't seen the opened up to the trucks. Spooky! Stammered Percy. Suddenly, another building at the old mine sank into the ground. What was that? Shouted his driver. Double bouncing buffers! Shrieked Percy. He was so scared he lurched forward and rammed the truck. Naughty gnomes! Cried Percy. He steamed was against the rules, but as soon as his driver and fireman left, there was trouble. Henry arrived to pick up coal. He bumped into the trucks, and the trucks bumped into Percy. Percy was pushed onto the loading ramp. Help! Cried Percy. I'm not a truck! But no one heard him. Percy was hoisted up. Tipped over. Ah! Cried James. What's happening? Crash! Bang! Wallop went the balloon and landed right on top of James. He was so sea wind howled. It started to snow. Soon, Percy's face was so cold an icicle hung from his nose. Oh, bother, Percy stuttered, but it didn't sound like Percy. It was so cold he could hardly make a sound. Wait, and the rails buckled. Oh, help, Gordon cried as he slid off the tracks and into a field. No one was hurt, but poor Gordon felt very undignified. What will the Fat Controller say? He groaned. And coal dust flew everywhere. Oh no, coughed Percy. I'm filthy. Percy felt awful, but he knew he had to carry on. And he took off, blowing cinders and ashes everywhere. The driver applied the brakes, but Percy's wheels just skidded on the oily rails. Oh no! Hooted Percy. Yuck! He groaned. I've never been this dirty. He was covered from funnel to firebox in sticky, gooey chocolate. Said Bill. Phew! It's not fair, Bill huffed, and he wheeshed soot all over Mavis. Bill, gasped Mavis. Oops. No, Mavis cried. But it was too late. It's the old bridge. My wheels are so loud and so long that windows broke all over town. Definitely a coloratura, said Gordon. Thomas had never been so excited. Thomas flew by James. Doesn't like working at the incline railway. He is always impatient to get back to the junction. This makes him careless and gets him into lots of trouble. Rusty Hogan's trucks couldn't hold the weight. It suddenly snapped. Help! He yelled. Glug, 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 he said. Bluggle my broiler. She hauled rubbish and pulled branches from the line. She helped remove a fallen sycamore tree from the cattle creep. Thank you, Elizabeth, said Rusty. We couldn't have taken his wagons. But as he approached the junction, a low-hanging branch knocked his whistle off. And he blew so hard, his whistle shot off like a mighty rocket and landed out of sight.